Loneliness is the central and inevitable fact of human existence, a basic ingredient of life and one of the essential characteristics of the human condition. We are alone. We are alone. It should be no surprise that loneliness is a task for the heroes. Solitude and time alone with ourselves is so important. It is the animation of the psychic atmosphere. When we are alone, the unconscious gets activated. Jung experienced this himself when he sat in the evenings communing with his inner characters, dialoguing with them, drawing their images in his red book, and giving them the opportunity to nourish his life. Jung felt the coming alive of our inner characters was a form of compensation for the loss of contact with other people. When we turn away from out there and the people in outer life, we can begin to make contact with the life within us and the variety of inner energies that people our inner city. Each of us is a unique individual with a particular way of being and responding to life, a way of being that can be discovered only when we recognize and enter into isolation, welcome loneliness, and go into solitude. Jung put great store in isolation, regarding it as the highest and most decisive experience of all, because it is only when we are alone with ourselves that we can discover our inner support, and in this discovery come to know the indestructible foundation of our being. Other terms to describe solitude and loneliness are opportunity to search for oneself, to find new life and greater self-awareness. Existential, an inescapable part of the human condition, cannot really be put into words. Aside from being particular and unique to each person, the feeling of solitude, of being isolated, is a hunger for life that goes beyond what words can express. Developing self-sufficiency and self-discovery are two reasons why experiencing solitude and loneliness are core features of living consciously. We can never really grow up, heal the wounds of our early life, and develop our personality without time alone with ourselves. The more we enmeshe ourselves with others and look outside ourselves, the less we individuate, and the less we serve the greater purposes of the cosmos for which we were so mysteriously generated from. No one else on earth has your exact set of skills, talents, and personality. And the sole task for each of us is to recognize our uniqueness. This does not happen but in solitude. Solitude is essential for living life, living a full life, also because it provides a source of power and creativity. By taking up the challenge of enjoying loneliness, we prove to ourselves that we are strong. We come face to face with the creative energies that live within. We also discover our intuitive wisdom, our source of insight and direction, while others may wonder about why they are alive, what their purpose is, whither to go. The person who has regenerated through solitude has a much clearer sense of purpose and a reliable inner compass for navigating through whatever adventures life may have in store. Solitude is essential to individuation, but that doesn't change the fact that the experience sucks. Yes, there is no getting around the fact that the whole business falls on our shoulders. Nobody can do it for us. There really is no one but the individual to do this. You have to assume responsibility for yourself and your life. And by accepting this truth, you throw yourself back on your own resources. No one else can find out who you are and what you are made of. In recognizing this and accepting this reality, you take a big step in growing up. This is the first step. As a second step, you can submit to your own loneliness, accommodate your loneliness emotionally, accept the challenge of bearing the unbearable. The result here is the discovery that sustenance, cheer, aid, comfort, and faith lie within you. Another phase in the process is born from the communion with self instead too. The experience of inner silence has turned up unknown sources of energies you didn't know you had. Now you wait. In my experience, this is the most difficult step because our culture is not given to waiting, being patient, surrendering to the active non-action that the Chinese, with their notion of Wu Wei, understand so well. We want relief and we want it now. Instead, we have little more than contact with our own feelings. And those don't feel so good. Far from sensing that we're making progress, we often feel as if we are regressing. And in many cases we are. Just as in the game of fencing, there are times in inner work where we must reclure, pour bien s'attendre, fall back so as to better position ourselves to move ahead. Many times when I've went through this phase, I felt like I was falling through a seemingly unendless space. It was horrible. I would often ask myself if it was ever going to end. The answer was yes, but never soon enough. Eventually, assuming that you stick with it, you hit the wall bottom out, get to the lowest point you can imagine, a level of desperation or unhappiness that seems unsurmountable. But, like Dante in the lowest circle of hell, there we discover self and self. We begin to sense inner guidance, perhaps an inner voice or an inner law or energy. We let go of fantasies that hindered our growth, no more pertinent in this regard than the archetypal search for the magical other. By this point, we have to come to realize there is no magical other. No one is going to come along and rescue us from existential isolation and solve all our problems, including loneliness. We also begin to get wise to our projections, compulsions, and long-standing habits that have sabotaged our happiness. We can admit that our basic needs for mirroring, self-validation, and love were not met in our childhood environment. And without being about to figure it out or trying to make it happen, we set about creating within ourselves the response that others were not able to give. Slowly we begin to accept ourselves, to like ourselves, to feel like the self is there and reliable. We get beneath the veneer of persona stuff, all the masks and posturings that we felt we needed in order to be acceptable, which never succeeded in achieving that goal. This can take many forms: reading books related to the process of individuation, an active involvement with one's work, exercise, and other forms of physical activity like yoga and various forms of meditation. There seems to be some sort of internal rhythm unique to each person that can help out in keeping our outer consciousness distracted while the inner life incubates change. and it helps to get in sync with this rhythm. However, it shows up for you. The key is to be in integrity with yourself. Forget about what other people are doing, what they might think, how you might appear to others. The work is all about coming true to the person you are. In fact, one of the keys to coping with experience of loneliness that is so essential in individuation is to become sensitive and selective about the company you keep. Some people will not understand what you are about. Some people will. I bid you good luck on your hero journey. Great heroes need great sorrows and burdens, or half of their greatness goes unnoticed. It's all a part of the tale.